Thanks, Mom! Liberal ideals. Ah, the Daily Wire. Home to the man who's been in more feminist-owned compilations than any other person. Mr. Ben Shapiro.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Over the years, Ben Shapiro has talked about how Hollywood has been taking a turn for the worse with overly leftist ideologies being shoved in our faces. And while I do think there is an agenda that a lot of Hollywood directors are following, there are 2 to 3 times more directors who don't follow this format and instead make at least an effort to make quality films that don't fall under the umbrella of being leftist ideology. Because I understand it's tiring hearing about a movie that was only made to shoehorn the fact that it's female-led just to get woke brownie points. But that's where the Daily Wire comes in with their first ever feature film, Shut-In, a horror thriller. Now, how did Mr. Shapiro advertise this movie?
Let me tell you why this film is so important, why it's worth your time to be part of this historic premiere. I mean, the biggest reason is because Hollywood hates your guts, and we don't. And so this film is our first step toward independently producing content that you are going to love. It's something you're going to want to watch and something that you'll feel good about having watched because it reflects your values as opposed to the values of Hollywood. Stories express values and values shape culture. Hollywood has known this forever and wielded the power of story like a weapon, but now we are offering an alternative.
Isn't that exactly what you complained about Hollywood doing? You're basically saying for people to watch this movie because it preaches an ideology that Hollywood doesn't want you to see. Sort of like how Charlie's Angels preached an ideology that women can act and be action stars because women can act. Honestly, he could have just said, watch our movie based on ideological reasons because if you don't, you're just a libtard beta cuck who indulges in left-wing propaganda and soy. A lot of what Ben Shapiro's saying sounds a lot like what Elizabeth Banks said about Charlie's Angels. But it's okay though, because he's a conservative, and because Ben Shapiro says it, that means he's correct.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
I'm not even going to try to make this some political video or anything, because as much as it seems like I am shitting on conservatives, I'm actually not a liberal. And I'm not a conservative either.
He's a soy boy.
I don't know what I am because I'm a 21-year-old man without much life experience, and I'm not an 18-year-old with a political science major who knows everything. I'm just someone who likes to watch movies and enjoy when a movie's good. You can say what you want about Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire, but if their movie is actually good, then I'll tell you it's good. I'm not just going to go on a complete crusade and hate everything Ben Shapiro touches, or I'm not going to metaphorically suck his dick because it's something Ben Shapiro touched. I'm going to give an honest and objective review of this movie without any political ideology clouding my judgment. So, the moment of truth. Is Shut-In a good movie? No, it's pretty fucking terrible. The film is advertised as an answer to the woke mob of Hollywood, yet this honestly could have been done with the backing of the quote-unquote woke liberal mob of Hollywood. And I'm not going to use this time to just shit on the Bible because I disagree with a lot of people who just blindly hate it. I'm just saying that it's shoehorned in this movie just like how many other Hollywood movies like to show off that women can be action stars and women can be funny.
Vaginas.
It's pandering to a certain crowd, which is something that Ben Shapiro and many conservative commentators speak heavily against. And the thing is, I agree with that. It's something I think has gone way too far because it seems a lot of directors would rather make a movie that checks all the woke points off a checklist rather than making a good and interesting movie. Only thing about the Bible that I can commend them for trying to shoehorn it in is that it kind of works by showing off the false prophets passage, which sets up the third act with their ex-boyfriend. However, it's so poorly done and there's no tension with it that it just falls completely flat. If you want a movie that discusses the good of the Bible but also shows how it could be manipulated, I highly recommend The Night of the Hunter. And hell, they even use the same passage in that movie too, so you get a nice comparison. The film stars Rainey Qualley, Jake Horowitz, and Vincent Gallo. Ben Shapiro advertised Vincent Gallo heavily because The man was banned from Hollywood for being a conservative.
Including the reemergence of Vincent Gallo, who was kind of a storied actor back in the day before he was barred by Hollywood for basically being a Trump supporter.
A quick Google search brings you to his personal website, where not only does he fancy himself quite a bit by selling photographs from his movies for exorbitant prices, he also sells motorcycle gloves he's worn, overpriced t-shirts, and an escort service. A fucking escort service. For $50,000, you can wish, dream, or fantasy with Vincent Gallo. Ladies only. Have you ever watched a movie and fallen in love with one of the actors? The way they looked or a character they played? Afterwards, you thought of them over and over, daydreaming, imagining things, sexy things. When I was very young, I was madly in love with Tuesday Weld and Charlotte Rampling. On my 14th birthday, I went to see the film Rolling Thunder and had my biggest crush of all on the actress Linda Haynes. I wished and wished and wished every day that I could meet all these girls. I thought of a lot of sexy things with Susan Blakely after seeing her in Lords of Flatbush. In my mind, I can do with her anything I wanted to do. So believe me, I know and understand what it's like to wish and dream about spending time with a movie star. Doing things that couples do. Couples in love. At least couples where the guy is hot and knows how to handle a chick. I, Vincent Gallo, star of such classics as Buffalo 66 and The Brown Bunny, have decided to make myself available to all women. All women who can afford me, that is. I can't. For the modest fee of $50,000 plus expenses, I can fulfill the wish, dream, or fantasy of any naturally born female. The fee covers one evening with Vincent Gallo. For those who wish to enjoy my company for a weekend, the fee is increased to a mere $100,000. Heavyset, older, redheads, and even black chicks can have me if they pay the bill. God, even black chicks. God, it's so fucking racist. No real female will be refused. However, I highly frown upon any male having even the slightest momentary thought or wish that they could ever become my client. No way, Jose. However, female couples of the lesbian persuasion can enjoy a Vincent Gallo evening together for $100,000. $200,000 buys the lesbos a weekend. A weekend that will have them second guessing. Jesus Christ. I'm willing to travel worldwide to accommodate clients. However, travel days are billed at $50,000 per plus all premium flight fees. Scanning for STDs is required, as is bathing and grooming prior to our encounter. Detailed photos of potential clients also required prior. An extra fee for security to protect me is charged on top of the fantasy fee. Fantasy fee. I'm not making this shit up. This is fucking real. Security fees will vary depending on the details of an encounter and how much security I will need. Potential clients are advised to screen the controversial scene from The Brown Bunny to be sure for themselves that they can fully accommodate all of me. Clients who have any doubt may want to test themselves with an unusually thick and large prosthetic prior to meeting me. You may be surprised just how much you can handle and how good it feels. Oh my fucking god, I can't believe I just read that. So, to sum it all up, for $50,000 plus flight fees, you can have sex with the well-endowed movie star Vincent Gallo. It gets even better because under it he sells his sperm for
$1 million.
If you thought his escort service ad was fucking racist and fucking weird, you have yet to read this beauty. Price includes all costs related to one attempt at an in vitro fertilization. A $50,000 value. If the first attempt at an in vitro fertilization is unsuccessful, purchaser of sperm must pay all medical costs related to additional attempts. Mr. Gallo will supply sperm for as many attempts as it takes to complete a successful fertilization and successful delivery. Sperm is 100% guaranteed to be donated by Mr. Gallo, who is drug, alcohol, and disease-free. If the purchaser of the sperm chooses the option of natural insemination, there is an additional charge of $500,000. However, if after being presented detailed photographs of the purchaser, Mr. Gallo may be willing to waive the natural insemination fee and charge only for the sperm itself. He's basically saying if you're hot enough, he'll fuck you for free. But you have to pay the $1 million upfront fee. You have to do that. Those of you who have found this merchandise page are very well aware of Mr. Gallo's multiple talents, but to add further insight into the value of Mr. Gallo's sperm, aside from being multi-talented in all creative fields, he was also multi-talented as an athlete, winning several awards for performing in the game of baseball, football, and hockey, and making it to the professional level of Grand Prix motorcycle racing. Mr. Gallo is 5'11" and has blue eyes. There are no known genetic deformities in his ancestry, no cripples, and no history of congenital diseases. If you have seen the Brown Bunny, you know the potential size of the genitals if it's a boy, 8 inches if he's like his father. Oh, it gets so much better. I don't know exactly how a well-hung father can enhance the physical makeup of a female baby, but it can't hurt. Mr. Gallo also presently maintains a distinctively full head of hair, and at the age of 43, has surprisingly few gray hairs. Though his features are sharp and extreme, they would probably blend well with a softer, more subtly featured female. Mr. Gallo maintains the right to refuse sale of his sperm to those of extremely dark complexions. What the fuck is this shit? Oh my fucking god, I can't believe I'm fucking reading this shit. Why does this sound like the girlfriend ad that Christian made? Though a fan of Franco Harris, Derek Jeter, Lenny Kravitz, and Lena Horne, Mr. Gallo does not want to be a part of that type of integration. In fact, for the next 30 days, he is offering a $50,000 discount to any potential female purchaser who can prove she has naturally blonde hair and blue eyes. Anyone who can prove a direct family link to any of the German soldiers of the mid-century will also receive this discount. What the fuck am I reading? Under the laws of the Jewish faith, a Jewish mother would qualify a baby to be deemed a member of the Jewish religion. This would be added incentive for Mr. Gallo to sell his sperm to a Jew mother, his reasoning being with the slim chance that his child moved into the profession of motion picture acting or became a musical performer. This connection to the Jewish faith would guarantee his offspring a better chance at good reviews and maybe even a prize at the Sundance Film Festival or an Oscar. Holy shit. To be clear, the purchase of Mr. Gallo's sperm does not include the use of the name Gallo. The purchaser must find another surname for the child. That was a lot to unpack. Even after I read all of that fucking shit on his website, even after all that, because he's a fan of Trump, that's why his career is in the toilet. It's not like he did a bad job in the film, he did fine, but the fact that Ben Shapiro advertised the fact that Hollywood abandoned him because he was a Trump supporter, when this website fucking exists, is baffling. Sure, it could all be a joke, but there's no way people would want to hire someone who speaks like this. I get being edgy, but this is a level that I don't think many people from Hollywood, or really just any company, would want in an employee. And to top it all off, the links featured on his website lead to his MySpace page. Keep in mind, this apparently was last updated in 2020. And this begs the question, is Vincent Gallo that much of a right-winger and against big tech to where he flaunts his MySpace page? I mean, say what you want about big tech. I think they censor a lot of people and have turned us into mindless zombies who can't think for ourselves. But holy shit, I wouldn't jump to fucking MySpace. So what is this movie even about? Well, basically, it's about a recovering meth addict mother who's trying to put her life back together until she gets locked inside her pantry by her still drug-addicted ex-boyfriend and his friend, who turns out to be a pedophile. While stuck in there, she constantly looks at Jesus on the cross to symbolize that by the end of the film, she's going to be a Christian woman with pure Christian values. The pedophile comes back to the house and threatens to rape her children because the ex-boyfriend owes him money. She tricks him into coming back downstairs with a thing of meth her ex-boyfriend gave her, and when he puts his hand under, she stabs him with a screwdriver. He is in pain but is able to get her daughter until she lights the pantry on fire and she's able to let go. It also is able to be put out with one sheet. The whole scene with the pedophile reminds me of the child kidnapper from Dennis the Menace. She then tries to think of ways to get out and feels trapped by the drugs until she notices a $100 bill sticking out of the Bible and realizes that the Bible can pay her way out of this situation. It's not like she learned anything truly from the Bible. She got bribed into it. It's not like there's genuine lessons the Bible can teach us and then she can learn by reading the Bible. Nah, she just needs to be persuaded by money because the money comes into effect in the third act of the movie. She's finally able to get out of the pantry, and instead of taking off the blankets fast to see if her kids are okay, she takes them off one at a time because this is a horror movie after all. It has to fill the horror movie's quota. Has to be super, super spooky.
Mommy! Mommy!
She tries to escape, but surprise, surprise, the pedo comes back to life, and she has to fucking trip again because, again, this is a horror movie. The ex-boyfriend comes and kills the pedophile, and we think there's a redemption arc, but remember that thing about false prophets from before? Ah, that's what the ex-boyfriend is. The mother decides to break her promise and says she'll do drugs again, but instead drugs the ex-boyfriend in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich before he ties himself up. They decide to go into another room to shoot up, but the mother tricks him and a huge chase ensues with music that sounds like they just typed on YouTube Kevin MacLeod action music. It really sounds out of place. They fight a bit, and then the ex gets an overdose, and she kicks him out of the building. The house becomes nice, and the movie ends. It's quite the film if you think about it. Now, is the entire convoluted plot the only issue I have? Not really. There's a few more. One being that the colors in this film are dull as can be. I get you wanting the setting to feel cold and dingy, and maybe it's because I'm not the biggest horror fan, or at least the biggest modern horror fan, that I don't get the color choices. But good God, the Half-Blood Prince has a more vibrant color palette than this. The film is also shot entirely on a wide-angle lens, which I guess might be another thing that modern horror films use. But it doesn't make it good. Some scenes just don't need it, and the screen feels warped the entire time. The only thing that I kind of like is that the acting in the film was not bad. I mean, besides the final fight scene, the film's acting is not that bad. It's actually pretty good. And despite what I said about Vincent Gallo, he's not a bad actor. Maybe his sperm is worth $1 million because, you know, that kid can grow up to be a pretty good actor. The future of the Daily Wire and moving from just being a conservative commentary group and more of an entertainment empire is already beginning. They've invested $100 million into making conservative-style kids shows to combat the woke liberal kids shows Disney puts out. It's a problem that I do see happening in Hollywood. However, by making something to combat the woke media and woke Hollywood agenda by using conservative talking points is the exact same thing, but it's okay because it's conservative.
Facts don't care about your feelings.
Priority number one shouldn't be to have as many conservative talking points as you can in the film or show. Priority number one should be to make a good movie or show. This is why Shut-In failed. They spent so much time advertising it to be this anti-woke Hollywood movie, when in reality it isn't, besides having a man who sells his sperm for $1 million as the lead, but claim it's because
before he was barred by Hollywood for basically being a Trump supporter.
And honestly, I just hope that in the future the Daily Wire makes good movies, because I like good movies. And if a company makes a good movie, then I'm happy because it's a good movie. So please, Daily Wire, make good movies. That's all I ask. Just make good movies.
We are pleased to announce we are making a new movie called Shut-In 2. It takes place 5 years after the events of the first film. Jessica's new boyfriend gets locked in the pantry while Jessica's out on a business trip. He is only able to survive by eating and drinking all the soy products left in the pantry. Halfway through, he gets out and starts spouting out liberal ideals and values, and it's up to Jessica to get him off the soy and back to the right state of mind. Quite literally.